All right, so we got justice and we have grace. And honestly, the two kind of feel like they're at odds. So, as like quick, easy definitions, justice is this idea that you get what you deserve. Things are fair. This is particularly in like a legal situation. You've done something wrong, there are consequences for that. It could be the other side too. You do something good, there are good consequences. But we primarily think justice, people get what they deserve, things are fair. And grace is very much the opposite. You don't get what you deserve. In fact, you get unmerited favor. You get something good that you didn't deserve, that you didn't earn. Grace is the exact opposite. Grace is not justice. You don't get what you deserve. So how can both things be true? How can this be? Well, let's start with why this happens. Let's start with why. This happens because we see verses in the Bible describe God as a God of justice and a God of grace, as just and gracious. We see both, and this is where the confusion begins. So let's look at a couple of those. And listen, you guys know I'm no scholar. I've done some research into this, I've looked into it, but we're going to do a broad overview here. So something interesting happens when we're looking at justice and when we're looking at grace. We see the two kind of split. We see a lot of the justice verses show up in the Old Testament, and a lot of the grace verses show up in the New Testament. Of course, there's some overlap, and there's both in both, but for the most part, when God is described as a God of justice, that's in the Old Testament. And when God is described as a God of grace, that's New Testament. Not exclusively, but for the most part. And this kind of makes sense, actually. The Old Testament, a big theme, one of the major themes of the Old Testament is God isn't going to leave us here. There will be justice. God isn't going to leave us in Egypt. God isn't going to leave us in the desert. God isn't going to leave us in Babylon. There will be justice. This is a major theme that we see in the Old Testament. Now, we also see justice talked about in the New Testament. We do. And I want to come back to that. I want to just click pause on that for just a second because we're going to come back to it. When we're looking at grace in the Bible, look at the Old Testament. It shows up from time to time. Not a lot, though. And it is overwhelmed by the wrath and violence and vengeance and justice talk that is predominant in the Old Testament. Come to the New Testament, grace is just everywhere. Amazing grace, just lousy with grace. Grace. It's all grace. New Testament, I think it's all grace. But we do see both used. And this is where the confusion starts.